The announcement that President Donald Trump has imposed a 10% tariff on Britain, coupled with a 25% tariff on global car imports to the US, is not just another economic move. It is an open challenge to Britain's leadership. It demands action. But what have we seen from Prime Minister Keir Starmer? A string of weak responses, lackluster diplomacy, and an inexplicable failure to secure British interests. This is a moment that calls for strength, for shrewd negotiation, and for a Prime Minister who understands the importance of safeguarding British business and workers. Unfortunately, what we have is a government stumbling at the first real test of global power politics. The Prime Minister's failure to respond effectively to this tariff assault is staggering. We have a British economy that relies heavily on trade, and at the heart of that trade is our ability to strike deals that benefit our industries. The imposition of these tariffs directly threatens British manufacturers, especially the automotive sector, which exports to the United States in vast quantities. Yet, rather than seeing Starmer step up to the plate, all we are witnessing is a timid government unsure of its next move, while our businesses and workers are left to suffer the consequences. The scale of this failure cannot be overstated. Jenrick's sharp critique of Starmer's approach is not just valid, it is an understatement. Starmer's so-called negotiating team has proven itself utterly incapable of dealing with an assertive US administration that is putting America first, as any leader should. Instead, we find ourselves caught in a web of dithering and indecision, with a Prime Minister who appears to lack the guts and political savvy to defend British interests. The notion that Crawford Faulkner, a respected trade negotiator, was dismissed as a glaring red flag. The sacking of such an experienced and capable individual is not just a managerial failure. It speaks to a deeper problem within this government, a problem of incompetence at the highest levels. At the heart of this debacle is the question of leadership. We cannot afford a Prime Minister who sits idly by as the US imposes tariffs that hurt our economy. This is not the time for passivity. This is a moment when Britain should be fiercely negotiating with the US to protect our industries. But instead, what we see is a Prime Minister who seems more focused on appeasing international powers than on securing the best deal for Britain. This is not leadership. It is a weak, submissive approach to diplomacy that is ultimately damaging to the nation. Starmer's actions, or lack thereof, are not just a failure of government, they are a failure of political courage. A Prime Minister is supposed to be the embodiment of national pride, a champion of the nation's interests on the global stage. In this instance, Starmer has not risen to the occasion. His inability to secure a fair trade agreement with the US and to shield British businesses from these punitive tariffs is a direct betrayal of the British people. If Starmer cannot stand up to Trump, how can he be trusted to stand up for Britain when the next challenge arises? The stakes are high. Every day that passes with this tariff in place, British businesses are suffering. British workers are facing the consequences of this weak leadership, and yet, the Prime Minister has not shown any urgency in addressing the issue. Starmer's recent visit to the White House did nothing to ease the pressure on British exports, and it begs the question, what exactly did he achieve? The answer is clear, not nearly enough. He walked away from Washington with nothing to show for it, leaving Britain exposed to an economic hit that could have been mitigated with more robust diplomatic action. Starmer's failure to secure a deal that would protect British workers is unacceptable. It is not enough to sit back and hope the situation resolves itself. We need decisive action, and we need it now. The Prime Minister must get back to the negotiating table, not as a passive participant, but as a forceful advocate for British interests. Britain's position in the global marketplace is not guaranteed, it must be fought for. And that fight begins with leadership that is prepared to stand firm, to negotiate hard, and to put British businesses and workers first. Starmer's time for dithering is over. He must act with the urgency and determination that this situation demands. It's time for the Prime Minister to stop being pushed around. No matter how powerful the United States is, Britain must not be a pawn in anyone's game. It's time to put British interests above all else and to demand a fair trade agreement that will shield our industries from these destructive tariffs. If Starmer cannot find the will to do that, then it's time for him to step aside and make way for a leader who will. We deserve better, and we must demand more from those who are entrusted with the future of this nation.